Okay, this is going to be my kind of like a warning video for what I see in the near future. If you don't agree with the the saying that's going around where in the future you won't own anything and you'll be happy. If you don't agree with that, then you need to start boycotting the products that are associated with the so-called Internet of Things products, because the Internet of Things, what they're doing is they're taking away your accessibility to whatever product you buy that has a little computer in it that requires you to agree to terms and services in order to use the software that that runs whatever product you buy. Like for example, I just got this security camera, this WAN scam like security camera here, and its software was free, and I installed it. I'm not connected to the internet right now, and it's saying that I require a community license in order to get the feeds from my camera, and I have to agree to terms and services that says they can collect any non-identifiable data on what operating system I have, what hardware I'm using, what software I'm using that's not related to this product. And let me just ask you this: is there any difference between not owning something and having something in your possession that you think you own and you have to ask permission through their software in order to use it? Like, there really is no difference between not owning something and having to ask permission in order to use it. If you have to ask permission in order to use a product that you bought, then you don't own it. So every product that's connected to the internet, the Internet of Things products, they're controlling your accessibility to use that product by means of their software. And it says in the terms of service agreement that that they're making sure that you're using their product and their software in a quote unquote legalized way. So there's like this little loophole in the legal system where they can control your access to any product that's connected to the internet. It has a little computer in it that requires you to be connected to the internet, the so-called Internet of Things. They can block your ability to use or access that product through their software, and that basically is their way of controlling your ownership of any product you buy. So, if in the near future, if all the products that we can buy in the marketplace all require you to have permission from the corporation that built that product in order through their software in order to use it, then that's how they're going to block your ownership of it. They're going to block everybody's ownership of their own product by means of software that requires your agreement to terms and services in order to access or be able to use whatever product you bought. So I can't use this camera unless I agree to their terms and services. Internet is must be required, and it's basically their way of controlling your ownership over whatever product you buy. And this kind of product is these things are spreading like wildfire, and people are just going along with it. It's crazy. It's like these kind of products really should be illegal to sell in the marketplace. You shouldn't be able to control access to somebody's property through software that controls that property, and that which is basically the same thing as having to ask permission to be able to use something. Like, we still have stuff now, like our own cars, our own tools, our own things where we don't need to ask permission because there's no software that runs them. But in the future, if all we have if all we have are products that have software that requires you to agree to their terms and services, which basically is a way of you asking permission in order to use it, and there's no difference between not having ownership of it. So this is what they're doing. They're turning all the products in the marketplace into these computer controlled software systems that require you to agree to their terms and services in order to use it. And that's how they're taking over ownership of all of the stuff that we buy. So these kind of products need to be boycotted and not, and complained about, or else in the future we won't have any ownership over the products that we buy, because they're all going to require you to agree to their terms and services all through their software that control all the products that are for sale in the marketplace. So if all we have are these kind of Internet of Things products to buy and that's all we have, then we will not own anything in the future, because all of our access to use the products will be blocked by the corporations via their software. And all in the name of we using their software and their products in a legalized way, then it's like, oh, if you go and buy a gun, you can't use that gun. The safety will be permanently on unless you are, unless they're have unless they're sure that you're using that gun in a legalized way. Like, they can't do that. That should be illegal. There's no regulation on that in the marketplace. So as long as there's no regulation on software controlled proper product systems, then we really will not own or have accessibility to our own stuff that we buy, as long as this continues to happen. And these companies keep getting away with controlling our accessibility to our own property by means of their software, because in the future this is gonna this is gonna be a takeover of all of our property. They're going to be legalized. They're going to be legalized to take any data they want. They're going to be legalized to shut off any accessibility to your own property that they want, all in the name that you are using whatever it is that you bought legally. I mean, there shouldn't be any question about if you're going to use something legal or not when you have purchased it and you own it. If you purchase something and you own it, you should be able to have the freedom to do whatever it is that you want to use it for in by your own free will. By having access to that product blocked by means of software like this is just another way of controlling ownership over property. And if this is all we have in the future, then we will not own anything. We will not have accessibility to any of our stuff, any of our property, as long as we have to continue to ask for permission from these companies to use it. So this has got to be like, we need to spread the word about this, and this needs to be boycotted and complained about, or else in the next 10, 20 years we will not have any accessibility to our own property, and they're going to control that by means of their software. And it's illegal to go into this software and change it so you don't have to agree to this stuff in order to use it. And that's illegal. That's under copyright laws. So and that guy God, what's his name? I forget his name. Cory Doctorow. He saw this coming probably 12 plus years ago, where he says that it's not the uh, we're not there's going to be encrypted keys that block our access to our own computers by means of cryptography, and it's illegal to tamper with that by means of copyright laws. So they're blocking any sort of pirated software by copyright laws, and they're blocking your accessibility to your own property to those copyright laws that are controlled by companies that own the software. And that software controls your accessibility to your own property, your own products. And that's their little loophole that they're doing to control ownership and your accessibility to your own property. And this has got to be stopped. People need to be more aware of this, and they need to start doing something about it, or we're going to wake up in the next 10, 20 years and not have any sort of ownership or accessibility to our own stuff. And it's going to be a really sad and sorry future unless people are aware of this and start to make changes to the products they buy, or we're going to wind up in a really bad future uh, someday. So I'm just making this video to spike awareness, or we're going to find ourselves in trouble. Please spread the word, whoever's watching this, and boycott any Internet of Things product out there and complain about accessibility to it, because we are the owners, not the corporations. This is their way of taking over the system, and it's got to be stopped. Please spread the word.